as we look to Red Bull to continue its unbelievable streak, which Helmut Marko recently said, which I think is interesting. If we win in Singapore, then the chance is there that we can win all the races. Of course, it's becoming a goal now. Early on in the season, it felt like the team was kind of hedging. That's not our focus. There's still a long season ahead of us. But it kind of feels like, Nate, that Singapore is kind of the catalyst. If we can win here, then yeah, we probably can win them all. Is this the toughest track for Red Bull that we'll see?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that Mercedes often found that this was one of the ones when they were dominating, they had a few years where they struggled at, and they worked hard to fix those problems. But I kind of agree with them. If you look at the remaining races now, the one that stands out where you could, especially just the nature of the circuit as well, where you may have issues, you might not have either driver finish. Yeah, I would say I agree with that. And it's interesting as well that he's actually admitted that, Marco, because Red Bull have been very clever at not playing that up. They've downplayed the unbeaten season as much as possible. Obviously, Marco's a bit of a loose cannon, it's fair to say. So I'm not sure if that's been something that Christian Horner will admit to this weekend. But yeah, I think win this one, win Suzuka as well, which is obviously 7 days after. And I think it would take something. It would take reliability. I think at this point anyway, it will take reliability to stop them winning. But you get past those two races, and I think that you can start to rest a bit easier looking at what's left on the calendar. Although Vegas might be, Vegas is just such a wild card event that might be up there as well.
Max even admitted after Monza that, Singapore is going to be a little bit more difficult, might not be the strongest weekend for us. Why does he feel that way, Laurence?
It's a good question. I think it's because if you look at the most similar track to Singapore, it's probably Baku, and they were out-qualified by Ferrari there. So while this is a little bit different, it's real high downforce, which doesn't really suit the Ferrari. It could be a weakness, and I don't know. I feel like there's there's all the environmental kind of issues that you have in racing in this heat that could lead to failures and so on. So perhaps there's a bit of that. But I think we're talking about, okay, there's a very slight chance that this could be the most likely one they lose out on. But they've been winning races by 20-30 seconds.
Yeah.
So as much as I'd like to sit here and say, Red Bull are going to be challenged, and they're going to have Mercedes and Aston Martins and Ferraris crawling all over them throughout the race, I don't think that's the case. I think it is the case that their car, which has been mightily fast everywhere, sometimes in the race, certainly by margins, that we haven't seen for many, many years. I can't see that all turning around just by looking at the layout of this track or the conditions of this track. But, I guess if you're looking at a ranking of which circuits they're most likely to struggle on before the end of the year, then perhaps this one would be at the top.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.